Hey Tim, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Tim Harrison. I'm the founder and CEO of the Coaching Innovation Lab. We empower coaches worldwide to leverage AI effectively, authentically, and responsibly so they can increase their profits and impact. I'm excited to be here today.
Can I start by asking you to share a meaningful moment where you've seen human connection, AI come together in coaching?
Yeah, definitely. So before I founded the Coaching Innovation Lab, I ran a nonprofit called EPOG Academy. EPOG, that's EPOG. It stands for the Enjoyable Pain of Growth. And when we started off, we would take executive coaches and we would give access to high school students in underserved communities to help them take control of their future. We were doing that for a little bit, but then we pivoted to leveraging AI so that we can reach students at scale. And so we were running this pilot with this community college. And there was a student who went through it. And afterwards, we did a focus group. And he pulled me to the side of the conversation. He said, "Hey man, like thanks for doing this. This was really helpful." And then he goes on to tell me about an experience that he had. So he's first generation in college and he was working at the same time, but he was also doing STEM and he had a very demanding academic schedule. And so he had to manage doing one or the other. He realized he couldn't work and do like the best he could at school at the same time, but there were certain financial needs. And so he went and he talked to our AI coach called PowerPath, and he told it the situation. And he said he went back and forth, and he was able to figure out how to manage his budget and manage his time so that he was able to spend more time on his studies. And he was just like, you could just see it on his face. He was very excited that he had a new path. He thought he had to choose one or the other, but he was able to break it down. And I think that goes to show a lot of times when people talk about AI, they feel like maybe it's like not human or maybe it's inauthentic or something like that. And I don't think like AI is authentic or not authentic. It's how are you using it? And in that case, it's a very human story. Everyone can resonate with fears. Everyone can resonate with being uncertain about the future. And so because there's this additional support, he was able to have this new kind of interaction where he might not have been able to talk to anyone in his real environment. And so
Mm.
that just made me super excited because at the end of the day, it's not about who's delivering the transformation. It's about human transformation is happening. And as a
Mm.
result, this individual felt like they had a greater sense of control over their future.
Isn't that fabulous that you've enabled that for them and that they shared that back with you? That just feels very, you know, whole and holistic, if you like, in terms of the value.
Yeah, that's why I do what I do.
Yeah. And as we experiment and learn with AI, what are the principles that we should be thinking about when we're wanting to keep AI human-centered, inclusive, and ethical?
Yeah, definitely. Like in the process of developing that tool, I thought a lot about ethics. I am Gen Z and I pretty much grew up when social media was first coming out. And I remember it shifted from just being my friends. And at the end of the day, I would run out of posts to slowly but surely, it's mostly people that I don't know. It's ads, it's hyper sensationalized. And now we're learning all these different effects that it has on our attention. You can see Australia had just banned social media for people under the age of 16. I think that's a great thing, but it took us a while to get the data to learn. And I think we should learn from the last AI revolution, which is social media. That is an AI revolution in terms of how the algorithms feed us information.
Mhm.
Now we have the next generation of AI revolution. I think we need to learn from the past. So I spent a lot of time thinking about, well, how do we want to do things differently? And how do I want to show up when we're leveraging these tools? Because yes, they're powerful, they give you scale, but they're not without their downsides. And you have to think very hard and very carefully about that, especially if you're working with vulnerable populations or students or anyone really. You want this to be something that uplifts people. And so I developed a framework that I call ADPT, which stands for adapt, also adept. Because to adapt is to be able to respond to the change, but being adept is being skilled at being able to wield it. So it's ADPT, it's kind of a double meaning. And A stands for agency, not dependence. We want tools to expand what we're capable of and put us in the driver's seat of how we move forward and not to build dependence where you need this thing to function, because what can be an assistant can also become a crutch. So agency, not dependence. The D in adapt is data to empower, not to exploit. I think we all have had that experience where you're signing up for something and you click that little checkbox saying, I agree to everything in here. But if you open the document, it's like 500 pages. You don't know what you're saying yes to or no to. You just don't know. It's just no one has the time to go through that,
Hmm.
right? However, there's plenty of companies who do great work with allowing people's data to be used for them.
Hmm.
Personally, I use a Whoop,
Hmm.
and it, keeps my heart rate. It tells me how hard I'm working out, it tells me my sleep needs and whatnot. It's collecting all this data, but it's feeding it back to me in a way that helps me grow, in a way that helps me get more insight and understanding. And so I'm a big fan of leveraging the data that we're giving out in order to empower people for
Hmm.
growth, right?
Hmm.
Um, the P in ADAPT is psychology for growth, not engagement,
Hmm.
right? And I mentioned social media earlier, and there are, the richest companies in the world are targeting your attention and your engagement. And a lot of times it's difficult for people to overcome that. And so they're leveraging these psychological levers. A lot of the companies use the same psychology that casinos do to keep you going to the next one, going to the
Hmm.
next one, going to the next one. But at the same time, as coaches, we know that we can leverage psychology for growth, right? For example, visual signs of progress produce dopamine. When people are realizing that they're making progress, it increases motivation. So, how can we start using the tools of psychology to engage people, to have more agency, to have more empowerment, to have more understanding of themselves, rather than just to try to keep them perpetually on the app, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then the last one, ADPT, is technology to close opportunity gaps, not widen them.
Hmm.
Right? And I think I'm super hopeful for this AI revolution because, in some ways, it's the most accessible technological revolution that we've ever seen, where you get an update over the cloud, and almost everyone, billions of people who have access to internet, right? Not everybody, but
Hmm.
billions of people immediately have access to some of the smartest models in the world. And so I'm hopeful that because of this, it can even the playing field in a lot of ways where if you have agency, if you have creativity, you can get this disproportional boost. Right. But there's a quote that I like that says, those who do not read have no advantage over those who can't. And I think AI literacy is the same. Just because we have access doesn't mean it will be accessed. And a prime example, I was coaching the leadership team at this prominent private school here in Houston. They're very innovative. They just hired a chief innovation officer, and we would have talks about AI and how do we use this for growing the students and everything. And then I drive 25 minutes to Southside Houston, and I'm partnering with a school for the nonprofit work that I do. I think I was there for a career fair or something. And I tried to log in to an AI tool that I was using, and it was blocked because they blocked any website with a .ai at the end of it, right? And so both environments had access to the same level of technology,
Hmm.
but the difference is going to happen at the leadership level. Now, of course, there's reasons why, one school had the resources to invest in a,
Hmm.
chief innovation officer and have these kind of things. But at the same time, sometimes it's what is our approach to change? What is our approach to innovation? Is it openness or is it closed? And I get why people come to different conclusions because students are using it to cheat and there are risks. But at the same time, I think the greatest risk is to not allow people to participate. Because by the time they graduate, all the jobs are going to be looking for people with AI literacy, with AI skill sets. And so this is the most accessible technological revolution, but the onus is now on leaders on how do we choose to engage? How do we choose to embrace this for our employees? If you're leading a school, for the students, if you're leading whatever you're leading, a lot of times your attitude and your decision on how you're going to adopt this have downstream effects on the people in terms of their accessibility. Adapt and adapt, ADPT, agency over dependence. D is data to empower, not exploit. P is psychology for growth, not engagement. And T is technology to close gaps, not widen them.
So, if you could imagine one shift that positively shapes the next chapter of coaching, what would it be?
I love that. Can I say two?
Yeah, sure.
So I have two. So one, whenever there's a technological revolution or jump forward, a whole bunch of new things become possible. The challenge is you don't know what those things are. They're kind of hidden. And Susan, you and I, we had a chat earlier with some ICF coaches, and I used this metaphor, and I think people liked it, so I'll say it again here. But when the combustion engine was invented, everyone knew that this was going to transform transportation, right? Just like how we know with AI, this is going to transform how we work and how we do a lot of things in society. But when you look at some of the early mock-ups, you would see a horse and buggy with an engine in the back because people thought, oh, this engine will make it way easier for the horses to move faster and longer. And they talked all about the efficiency. But then now looking backwards, we're like, well, obviously you needed a car, you needed a Model T. And I think we're in a similar stage where we have this AI powered engine. And a lot of the use cases that you see are like that engine powered horse and buggy. It's like,
Mm,
how do we do what we were already doing a little bit faster? And so I'm very excited about the Model T versions of what coaching is. With the Coaching Innovation Lab, our thesis and our prediction is that AI will do more coaching and coaches will do more with AI. Already over 1 billion people are using like ChatGPT and Gemini on a regular basis. And if you look at what they're going to it for, many of the things are about how they orient their lives, getting some self-reflection, right? And so they're going to these systems for coach-like behaviors. But at the same time, we've supported coaches in doing more with AI. There's coaches who've gone through our programs who are now saving tens of thousands of dollars, getting hundreds of hours back, spending more time in the zone of genius, and
mm,
they're developing tools that allow them to scale themselves. That's what I'm super excited about. I don't think anyone has a great Model T version of coaching where it's hybrid, where I can apply my human presence, my personality, the accountability that comes from talking to another human that I think is a big part of driving growth. But also, there's a lot of things that AI can do that I can't. I can't keep, millions and millions of words of context about this person and apply that or send them constant reminders or, there's a whole range of new growth experience that I think are going to be hybrid. So I'm very excited about doing more research and to pushing the boundaries in that area.
mm,
And so that's one thing I'm hopeful for. And the second thing, since you're so gracious and letting me get too
mhm,
off,
mhm,
the second thing is like, I think a lot of people have fear that AI is just going to replace coaches or AI is going to replace insert profession. I think a lot of people are feeling this, but we're talking to coaches here. And I think that there is precedent for technology actually increasing the value and increasing the usefulness of something. I was born in 1997, and also in that year, IBM Watson, I think, beat the world's best chess player in chess. And you might think, oh, wow, machines are better than humans at chess. The game of chess is really over because, why watch and why care? But fast forward all these years later, chess is more popular than it's ever been in the world. And a big reason is because companies like chess.com leverage AI to make it way more accessible for people. So I can download a free app and I can play chess against an AI that's matched to my level. Right afterwards, it'll give me feedback on how I can do a little bit better. And as a result, more people can play chess. Because before, I would have had to have a friend or someone I know. I would have had to have a board. We'd have to schedule time. And even then, you might be able to play 2 or 3 games a day. That's like aggressive, maybe 2 or 3 games a week. Now you can play dozens and dozens of games all the time, get real-time feedback. So not only are more people playing chess, but at the same time, people are getting better at chess because they're getting more repetition. They're getting better feedback. You don't have to hire a chess coach. You have all these different things. So it's been one of the greatest things for chess that AI had superseded people. But at the same time, there's still famous chess people, and nobody watches two AIs play each other on chess. We still care that it's a human. We still care that
mm,
there's a person behind it. And so I think that perhaps one of my hopes is that as AI makes coaching and other services more accessible, people realize the value of having this coaching experience. Most of the world has never been coached,
mm,
right? And so if you can make that accessible through the technology, they're still going to crave something more. And perhaps there's an even bigger market for coaching once people start to realize, oh, these tools can give me an entry level kind of experience with that. And then that's where the hybrid version comes. Well, how does a
mm,
coach then fill that gap and make that
mm,
accessible? So
mhm.
those are the two things I'd say
Ah,
for.
perfect. Yeah, and yeah, they're the Model T version of coaching, and the supercharged performance, like the chess game. I think those are great analogies. Thank you for sharing those.
Yeah.
So as we wind up our fireside chat, if you look on the horizon, what do you think will change about coaching, and what remains the same?
Hmm. Well, I think I spoke a little bit about what I think will change. AI will do more coaching and coaches will do more with AI. What will stay the same is a great question. What will stay the same is I care that I'm talking to a human.
Mm,
You know, when if you're meeting with your coach and I say I'm going to do something, I know I'm going to see you in 2 weeks, and that's a level of accountability. Like you're an observer in my story. That matters to me. Versus, I ignore notifications from my phone all the time. How
mm,
many times you ignore your wake up alarm, whatever. It's because it's a technology you use. There's no accountability to it. It's there. It'll be reliable, but there's something that I think we're hardwired to care about people.
mm,
One of the things that you hear when you're doing research on AI coaching, people like that is judgment free. And this might sound controversial, but I think there is some degree of judgment that is helpful, that is useful.
mm,
And what I mean by that is most of the time we think negative judgment, like, oh, you're thinking worse of me. But we like positive judgments. You're handsome, you're smart. Those are positive judgments. We like to be judged in those ways.
mm,
But the fact that you're looking at me and you have an opinion and you have your own story and background, I think that comes across when
mm,
we're talking because, oh, I don't want to say something, you know, too much like we kind of regulate ourselves like that was a little arrogant to say or was that oh I thought that was funny but it wasn't funny and so I adjust and you
mm,
adjust
mhm,
and we share this unspoken communication and I think that that's valuable and perhaps necessary in the growth process. So I
mm,
think that stays the same. The presence, the fact that I'm talking to a person, I think will still be important to me, and I'm hopeful that the next generation feels the same because I'm young enough to have a bit of the pre-technology experience, in early childhood. But I'm wondering about Gen Alpha,
mm,
who grows up with an AI friend, where it's regular that 20% of the conversations they have are with non-humans, like
mm,
how does that generation grow up? But I'm hopeful that we hold on to caring about each other.
mm. And that may be even more valuable as we navigate all the complexities that present us now and in the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
As we think about the closing, then is there anything else you would like to share with people?
I would actually like to flip it on you, if that's all right.
Hmm.
You've talked to about, you say you're talking to 30 people or so through this
Hmm.
series. What has been one of the more profound insights that you've got from talking to all these people about AI and coaching?
I think everybody is saying the same in terms of what stays the same. So the being a coach is inherently a human practice, and so that I think is an anchor, if you like. But there are lots of potential areas for change. And I liked, in particular, you used the Whoop analogy just now in terms of how it helps you with your sports performance or your health and fitness. And I think of AI in the same way. And that came up in one of the conversations that I was having. It was around um, using coaches and AI in Formula One racing. So Formula One has, I think, 300 data points that they use in analyzing what goes on when the driver and the car are running the race. And all of those data points are then used by the coach that does pre sessions and then post race sessions. And that combination for me, I think that's probably where I imagine the future of coaching will go. And then there were some also areas around the differentiation. So because of AI providing personalization or contextualization, might the future of coaching involve more about coaching communities rather than individuals or teams in organizations rather than leaders, etc.? So I was interested in those emerging trends, if you like, or voices.
Yeah. Oh, I love to hear that. I love to hear that. Yeah. Well, time will tell. And maybe when we're doing this again in a year or two, we'll have more things to say and more things to see. So
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
perfect. Thank you, Tim, very much for your time.
If you're interested in leveraging AI in your coaching practice, whether to expand what you can do or to really just participate in the future of what our industry is, you can find me on LinkedIn at Tim Harrison, or you can look up my organization at coachinginnovationlab.com. I'd love to hear from you.
And we'll put those links in the resources that go alongside these webinars, I guess they are. But yeah, thank you so much, Tim, and I will see you soon.
All right, see you, Susan.
See you. Bye for now.